Hello, friends and families. Welcome to the Educa DPS podcast. My name is Javier Ibarra, Senior Manager of Media and Public Relations for Denver Public Schools. Today, our guest is Lindsay Armstrong, Manager of Bilingual Programs for DPS. For the folks at home, I want to give you a quick little background about our topic today. So I want to read the vision statement for our multilingual MLE office. In alignment with DPS's vision, our team's vision is to ensure every multilingual learner succeeds by providing the opportunity to achieve the knowledge and skills necessary to become contributing citizens in our diverse society. We believe that every single multilingual learner can thrive, not by accident, but by design. So with that, I want to introduce Lindsay. Lindsay, welcome to the Educa DPS podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks for being here. All right, let's get right into it. So I know that you're very passionate about what you do. Can you share a little bit about yourself and the work that you do for Denver Public Schools?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm thankful because my mom valued the importance of knowing two languages. So she enrolled me in Spanish classes that were available at my elementary school when I was young, and that's what motivated me to continue learning the language all the way through college. After college, I had the opportunity to volunteer in Guatemala for 6 months.
Wow.
And when I came back to Colorado, I just knew I wanted to work with the Spanish-speaking community. So in 2003, I ended up in Jeffco working as a family liaison with the migrant education program, connecting Spanish-speaking families and their students to services available. And then I moved into DPS as a second grade bilingual teacher at Archuleta in the Tinley program there, and taught for 8 years, all Spanish-speaking students, and I just loved working with students and families. And now it's been about 10 years that I've worked with the Multilingual Education Department, first as a coordinator and now as the K-12 Bilingual Programs Manager, and just feel so fortunate. I feel I have a much broader impact for our students and teachers and their families as well. So love that. And then if you don't mind, on a personal note, I'm also a DPS parent.
Very cool.
Yeah, my husband, Jorge, he's from Puerto Rico. We have a son, his name is Owen, and he's 9, and he is enrolled in our dual language programs, in one of the dual language programs here in DPS. It's really important for us that he also grows up speaking two languages, especially Spanish, and it's just been wonderful to see how he's able to communicate and connect with his Spanish-speaking family.
I think that's really great that you mentioned that, because we're going to get into that later on in some of the questions that I have for you. And I really want to get, because you have a unique perspective, right? You work for the district, but you're also a parent of one of our students who is currently going through this program. So I want to ask lots of questions about that. But my first question for you today is this. What does the bilingual programs team do at DPS?
Yeah. Well, the bilingual programs team is driven by our vision that every student has the opportunity to become multilingual and multiliterate. And so what we do is we work to improve programming and also provide resources, training, materials for our teachers in our world language, dual language, and K-12 Tinley programs. Those programs are for our Spanish-speaking students.
Oh, okay, very cool. Now, can you kind of give us a very brief description of each of the programs that you just mentioned?
Yes. World Languages is currently offered mostly at the secondary level, but we do have a few elementary schools who offer it as well. The most common languages we offer are Spanish and French, but we do have some secondary schools that offer Italian, Chinese, Japanese, Arabic, and Lakota.
Okay,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, and then for dual language, we have about 15 schools, elementary and K through 8, who offer programming, and we're working on expanding dual language to the secondary level as well. And these programs are for students of all language backgrounds who want to learn to read and write, speak, listen in Spanish and English And then we do have one program that offers dual language for Chinese as well. And then we have K through 12 bilingual Tinley programs. And these programs we offer across the district at many of our schools. And they're for students who want to maintain their native Spanish while learning English.
Wow, that's very important. I personally, so I'm bilingual as well.
Awesome.
Spanish was my first language and English is my second. But through high school, I took 4 years of French. And French was very easy for me because I knew Spanish and the Latin background.
Yes, yes. We love to emphasize how one language can help you learn the other.
Oh, absolutely. So my next question here is, what are the benefits of enrolling students in any of the available BP programs?
Yep. So students in our programs should be able to graduate bilingual and biliterate and have the opportunity to earn the seal of biliteracy. And then also in today's job market, being bilingual is such a high need right now. They need those bilingual employees, so our students have a huge advantage. There's also lots of benefits of being bilingual for your brain. It helps increase your brain's ability to problem solve, to multitask, to think outside the box. And then we've seen that a lot of our students in these programs start to develop a deeper understanding of other cultures. Specifically for our Spanish-speaking students, this is really a way for them to maintain their home language, which oftentimes is deeply connected to one's identity.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
When I was in college, my sociology teacher said that culture is passed down through language. And so if you know the language, you're able to understand the culture better. So it kind of goes along with what you were saying.
Absolutely.
We've been throwing a lot of acronyms, and so I want to kind of slow it down not slow it down. I want to explain, because we're going to get going pretty fast here with all of the acronyms. So let's start off with what is Tinley, what is dual language, and what is the difference between both of them?
Okay, so the difference is dual language is when students of all language backgrounds are learning to read, write, speak, and listen in both languages.
Okay.
For Tinley, we like to say bilingual Tinley, but Tinley, it stands for transitional native language instruction. And so what that means is that it's native language, we mean Spanish. So it's students who speak Spanish at home. It's part of who they are. And so those programs are just for our Spanish-speaking students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for explaining that. My next question is, what is PPF1 and why would Spanish-speaking families choose PPF1 for their student?
Yeah. Well, there's a saying in Spanish, ser bilingüe vale por dos, which basically means if you're bilingual, your worth is double.
Okay.
And so PPF1 is an option on the parent permission form that parents can mark to indicate that they want their student at their Tinley school to receive Spanish instruction, or bilingual instruction, actually. There's a common myth that students in these programs don't learn English, but actually they do receive their instruction in both English and Spanish. And we have assessment data that shows that oftentimes these students in our programs are outperforming their peers who may speak Spanish, but they're in an all English classroom.
Right.
They're outperforming on assessments, and they're more on track to acquiring English as well.
Wow, those are fun facts of the day right there. I want to dive a little deeper on Tinley specifically. What does Tinley look like at the elementary and at the secondary level?
Yeah, so I mentioned it stands for Transitional Native Language. And so what that means is if you're in a Tinley program at the elementary level, an elementary student would start at ECE, or preschool, with a 90% of their instruction in Spanish. And as they progress through the grade levels, the amount of English continually and gradually increases, so that by 4th and 5th grade, they're receiving 40% of their instruction in Spanish and 60% of their instruction in English. So that's elementary. At the secondary level, it looks a bit different.
Okay.
Students in our Tinley programs at secondary, they take 1 to 2 of their courses in Spanish depending on their English language proficiency level. And those courses can include social studies, science, math, and Spanish language arts.
Are there any options for secondary Spanish speakers if they don't go to a Tinley school?
Absolutely, yes. Actually, most of our secondary schools offer Spanish language arts.
Okay.
And these courses are designed for our heritage Spanish speakers. So students who maybe at home they speak Spanish perfectly and they understand it perfectly. However, they haven't had the chance to learn how to read and write in Spanish.
Wow.
So that's a wonderful opportunity for them to start gaining literacy skills in Spanish. It's also helpful if you have a student who's been in elementary. In the Tinley program, they can continue because they're leveled courses. These students, maybe they're already reading and writing in Spanish, but they want to continue towards that seal.
Yeah.
They can also enroll in the Spanish language arts program.
Can you tell me, you mentioned this earlier, the seal of biliteracy? What is that?
So the seal of biliteracy is it's an award. It's something that can be put on students' transcripts. And what they do is they have to show that they can read and write in both languages through the assessments that we have. And it's not only Spanish and English, it can include many, many other languages as well. And as long as they're able to show proficiency in both English and another language, they're eligible for the seal. And we have a beautiful ceremony at the end. I think we had a little over 1,000 students graduate with the seal this year, so it's very exciting.
Wow, that's amazing. I know that when I was in high school, a lot of the native Spanish speakers, or you said heritage Spanish speakers, would take Spanish because it was an easy A, you know? But I think it's more than that now, right? It sounds like here at DPS what we're really striving for is so that students are bilingual so that when they do, you know, go off to college or into the workforce, they're equipped on both languages. I know a lot of folks who are bilingual, but their native tongue, they are not at a level, you know, proficiency-wise where it would be a professional consideration. And this allows you to do both. I know that for the work that I do, and it sounds like for the work that you do here at DPS, it's very important to have that proficiency in both languages.
Yep, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
My next question for you is, are there any other, what is the process for families to register their Spanish-speaking student in a Tinley program?
Yeah, so once a student is enrolled in a Tinley school, during registration, the parent would fill out their parent permission form and select that PPF1 option.
Okay, so it's very simple.
Yeah.
Okay, and then my last question for you today is, how can families find more information on these programs?
Yeah, for more information, our families can visit our website. It's mle.dpsk12.org. And there they can find more information about each of the programs that we've talked about today. And we recently added a guide for families that highlights which schools have each of our bilingual programs in each region.
Wow, that's awesome. Lindsay, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. This concludes our Educa DPS podcast. So again, just want to thank you for all of this valuable information.
Thank you.
Folks at home or wherever you're listening to us, I want to ask if you will please help us share this content with families, with friends, and other community members. Again, remember, this information might not seem prevalent to you, but it might be for other folks. For more Educa content and other stories, follow us on our YouTube channel at Denver Public Schools Plus. Today I want to do something a little different. I want to give credit to the folks behind the scenes who help all of our multimedia productions here at DPS. And I want to start off with our Executive Director of Communications, Will Jones, our Director of External Communications, Scott Pribble, Director of Internal Communications, Selena Nakamura, our Executive Producer and Videographer, Don Pierce, our Multimedia Lead Producer and host of the Spanish Educa, Beto Gaitan, our Guru of Social Media, Hannah Young, our communication specialist, Georgia Alexander, our strategic communication specialist, Trey Hill, and our public relations manager, Ray Childress. A very special shout out to our DPS educators, students, and parents for your support of the Educa DPS podcast. And a big thank you as well to Dr. Alex Marrero, proud superintendent of Denver Public Schools, for supporting Educa and all other platforms. And yours truly, Javier Ibarra, Senior Manager of Media and Public Relations, as well as Educa host in English. Please remember to tell your children more often, I believe in you and I know you can do it. Until next time.